name is Kim. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another Media Monday video for you. I don't do these super often, but occasionally I will make a video only on Mondays that is about a book or TV show or movie or movies, something like that, something I've been watching or really interested in lately, part of the whole mixed bag of the channel. So today I wanted to talk about a new show that I recently discovered and binge watched in a couple of days, which hardly ever happens to me anymore. I don't watch a ton of TV anymore. I have a couple of shows that I'm watching. Right now I'm watching Yellow Jackets, I'm watching 1923, and most recently the show that I'm going to talk to you about today. But yeah, I haven't found a lot that I've been interested in recently, so I was excited to find this. So the show that I want to recommend for you today is Earth Abides. So this was released in December. Now I think the release dates are kind of funny here in Canada because most of the episodes were released in December, but the final one, there's 6 episodes total of this limited series, just came out this past Friday. So perfect time for me to chat about this show with you. So again, it's called Earth Abides. It is available on MGM Plus here in Canada, which is an add-on to Prime. I hate add-ons, but this one's worth it. It is $3.99 a month for MGM Plus. There's a lot of good shows. There's From. I actually added the add-on specifically to watch the show because it looks so good. It was not at all what I expected, but I was very pleasantly surprised. I kind of expected something along the lines of Fallout, and I'm not sure why, something kind of quirky, campy. Not at all what I got. It was more of an intense drama, character study type show. Absolutely loved it. It's based on a 1949 novel by George R. Stewart. I almost said George R. Martin. I think that's the Game of Thrones author. But written in 1949, and the original version is based in the 1940s. However, the show is based just in the 2020s, like modern day. So the show stars Alexandra Ludwig, who was in both Hunger Games as well as in Vikings. Is probably his most known role as Bjorn Ironside. And also Jessica Frances Duke, who I was struggling to place her as I was watching, but I went and looked her up on IMDb afterward, and she played Agent Miller in Ozark, and she was the pregnant agent, and so that's where I remember her from. Totally different role, that's why I didn't recognize her, I think, but she played both roles to perfection. Honestly, she kind of stole the show. I mean, I love Alexandra Ludwig, but she totally stole the show in this case. So the show starts out following the main character, Isherwood Williams. And so he's kind of a loner already. He lives remotely and he's out for a hike and he's bitten by a rattlesnake, and he's able to drain the poison, but he ends up falling into a coma for an undetermined amount of time, weeks or months. I would say probably a couple of months at least. And when he emerges from his coma, the world has pretty much ended, which I love that scenario. Very Walking Dead, very Last Man on Earth. Does it for me. So he sets out to find some survivors. He does find some. Unfortunately, the 2 he comes across decide to end their own lives because they don't want to live in a world like this. But then he happens upon Emma, played by Jessica Frances Duke, and they end up forming a bond. They're friends at first, and then they slowly turn to more. There is an age gap. She's 25 in this, and he's 25 and she's like 40, but they decide to kind of be together because they don't have a lot of other options, and then it grows to more, and they end up being married and they have multiple kids. And with each episode, it's really interesting because there's a big time jump each episode, and I haven't seen anything quite like that before. I'm sure it exists, but it's just not something you see a lot, and I think that could be why the reviews on this show are low, but honestly, it's worth it. You get basically a whole series in a mini series. It's beautiful. And so the actors for the kids change almost every episode, which is a little disconcerting at first, but I ended up really liking it towards the end. So it follows these 2 as they grow their community. They're joined by more survivors. There's this tension between Ish and Emma because she is very like outgoing, community-minded, loves people, big extrovert, and he is the opposite. He's an introvert. He doesn't trust people. Like he lived remotely even before all this happened. So there's this tension between them, and she wants people to join them. He doesn't trust people, and they kind of work through that throughout it. So anyways, it's really interesting to watch, and the main emphasis of the show is themes of creating community, earth healing, and people learning how to rebuild and trust after a huge disaster. So I loved it. I've noticed that the ratings on IMDb are quite low, 6.2 out of 10. I don't think the show deserves that, but I will say most of the shows that I really love that have low ratings on Yellow Jackets are slow burn type shows. And that is what this is. Even though it's 6 episodes, it is a slow burn. The emphasis is on more of a character study versus dramatic events. It's set in this post-apocalyptic world, but it's not over the top violent. It's actually very uplifting. And the ending especially, I really loved. I have never watched an apocalyptic type show that is realistic in its portrayal of what would happen, but is also hopeful. So I really loved it. I love post-apocalyptic type things. And I just loved how different this was compared to most post-apocalyptic shows and movies that I watch and books that I read. So I already have the book on my Kindle. It's available on Kindle Unlimited if you want to read it too, and I'm looking forward to reading that. I hope it's really similar to the show. Obviously the setting will be different, but I'm looking forward so much to reading that. So overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10. The cinematography and music are one of the best parts of the show. It shows all these big sweeping shots of just planet Earth and animals doing their thing, and I loved how they incorporated that into it. So if you love post-apocalyptic shows and you also love dramas and character studies, I really recommend that you watch Earth Abides. This is one that I will definitely be rewatching at some point. It was totally worth the 6 hours or so time investment. And if you do decide to watch it, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in my next video.